Tonight on CTV, the 2024 ASCSU elections are underway. Meet the candidates that are running for your student body president.
And the Rams are taking on the Longhorns at March Madness. Our sports anchor, Elyse Gerke, is joining us from Charleston later in the show.
All that and more on CTV starting now. Good evening, Rams. I'm Borkowski.
And I'm Tate Paisley. Thank you for joining us tonight for our Student Government Special. An 11-year-old who goes by Zandria is reported missing in northern Fort Collins. Fort Collins police are seeking information on her whereabouts after she was last seen leaving her home on Blue Spruce Drive. Zandria, described as 5'7" and 180 pounds, was wearing a beige sweatshirt, dark sweatpants, white tennis shoes, and a red and white backpack. Fort Collins authorities urge anyone with details to contact them at 970-419-FCPD or dial 911 immediately.
Colorado legislature is looking to outlaw the controversial U+2 law. The passing of this bill would stop local governments from enforcing residential occupancy limits on people who don't have familial relationships. However, local government is still allowed to implement occupancy limits based on health and safety, the building, and water quality standards. The bill still has to go through the final stages in the Colorado State Legislature in order for it to officially be enacted. Now we head over to our weather reporter Elyse Gerke, who will provide us with a rundown of what to expect after a week of warmer temperatures. Elyse?
Welcome back from break, Rams. Thanks, Bailey. As you can see, currently in Fort Collins, the temperature is 58 degrees and the sun is setting at 7:14 p.m. as opposed to 5:30. Thank you, daylight savings times. The wind is heading west-northwest at 9 miles per hour. Fresh out of spring break, Fort Collins has seen beautiful sunny weather for the past few days. With the first official day of spring being Tuesday the 19th, I think it's safe to say spring has sprung. Tomorrow in Fort Collins, our high is 61 degrees and our low is 35 degrees with some sun. The sun is setting at 7:15 p.m. and the wind is heading south at 8 miles per hour. Heading into our overnight lows, down the I-25 corridor, you can see Fort Collins is sitting at 38 degrees, Denver warmer at 41 degrees, Colorado Springs at 35, and Pueblo at 29. Heading over into the western slopes, Craig is at 27 degrees, Vail at 31, and Grand Junction at 41 degrees, just a little bit warmer. And over on the eastern plains, you'll see some mid-30 temperatures, Limon at 33 and Burlington at 34. Over the next 5 days, the weather is going to be slightly chaotic with temperatures ranging from the mid-40s to the mid-60s. There's going to be partly cloudy skies, except for Sunday, where there's potential for lightning and thunderstorms. That's all from me tonight, Rams. Back to you, Bailey and Tate.
Welcome back from the break. Now that spring is here, CSU's student government is back for their annual elections.
2 senators threw their hats into the ring to campaign for the Speaker of the Senate seat.
The legislative branch represents over 30,000 students and makes decisions on their behalf. And the Speaker is the leader of the Senate. There are 2 candidates running for the coveted position.
First is the current Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Chair, Cait Mckinzie.
Hey Rams, I'm news anchor JJ McKinney, and today I have Cait Mckinzie running for ASCSU Speaker of the Senate. Nak, how are you doing today?
I'm doing lovely. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. All right, let's just get right into it. Can you tell me a bit about yourself?
Yes, of course. I'm Kenyan American. I'm a current sophomore. I'm studying biology. I work in the Pride Resource Center as an Amplify mentor, so if you want to say hi, just say hi.
Of course. And then, can you tell us a bit about your experience in student government?
I have been in the Senate space for like over a year now, because it's been over a year. And in my experience in student government, I've seen a lot of bills being written. I've sponsored and endorsed plenty of them myself. I'm currently the chair of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusions Affairs Committee. And in that position, I have worked to make sure that a lot of the bills that we are currently passing are both fair, equitable, and inclusive to the entire student population.
What we've noticed interviewing other candidates is that there are usually pillars of structure to how they're formatting your campaign, and that essentially just means like your main goals. So what are your main goals of your campaign?
Just to make the Senate space a more just, fair, and fun place to be. And I want it to be a place where students can feel like they are comfortable to enter the Senate space, where anyone from the student body, like even if you're not even associated with student government, even if you like have a very cursory interest, can just come on in, sit in a Senate session, and just feel comfortable about that, as well as the just and fair aspect in which we would be seeing bills and legislation in a fair, equitable way while maintaining decorum within the space.
Essentially, you mentioned equitable action and equity, and one of the things that students have been concerned about in terms of equity is student fees and making sure those are allocated correctly. So if you were to become speaker, how would you work with the student fee review board to make sure that those fees are allocated equitably?
Yeah, I'd make sure to get into contact with the head of the student fee review board, which is the vice president, making sure that within our budget, as well as whoever gets elected as budgetary affairs committee chair, that our budget is well spent in areas that students want actually. Also make sure that to try and see if there's a way I can make it even more transparent as possible for the student body. I know currently we are also working on updating the website of ASCSU so people can see like what legislation's being passed and whatnot, so there's more transparency there. So hopefully we can just generally just have more transparency about where your money's going.
So as the Speaker of the Senate, you will largely be in charge of the legislative branch of ASCSU. So what is your plan to effectively lead the legislative branch of ASCSU if you were to become Speaker?
Well, being the leader of the legislative branch is a very big job, and something that I understand is like I know that I have my own limitations, and I think within that I'd have to make sure that I'm making sure I'm getting the proper advice from both the ASCSU advisors, my own legislative cabinet, and making sure I take into their considerations the words so that I'm most accurately guiding the Senate in the direction that it needs to be led, as well as taking in the advice and advisory of associate senators and senators within the space who have probably been there way longer than I have. If you've ever been to one of our Senate meetings, it's very quiet and very generally there's not a lot of high student turnout, and I really want to change that. I want to make it a place where people can feel like they can have these quiet side conversations, can express themselves, and it's a comfortable space to be in.
All right, well, Anak, that was all I had today. Thank you so much for joining us.
It's been a pleasure.
The sophomores' plan is to make the Senate a more just, fun, fair, and equal place to be.
Also running for Speaker is International Affairs Committee Chair Hayden Taylor.
Hi, my name is Kate Sherman, and I'm here with Hayden Taylor, who is running for the 2024 ASCSU Speaker. So Hayden, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. How about you?
I'm doing pretty good. So first off, could you just tell me a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so I joined the Senate in my first couple weeks at CSU, and it was kind of the first time I felt like I found my place. In high school I didn't do many clubs and anything like that, so joining Senate was a lot of fun, and I liked that a lot.
What is your past experience in student government?
I've been in the Senate. This is my second year now in the Senate. I've just gotten to get the hang of that. I have a position now as a committee chair within the Senate, which is kind of like a leadership position, and it gives me a lot of good experience.
And what are the pillars of your campaign?
The biggest one is advocacy, because that's kind of the best way that we can make change as students, is just being that voice and being loud enough that people have to listen to us. One of the biggest focuses of mine is on things like housing and cost, because it costs simply too much to live at CSU.
And what is the main thing you hope to accomplish as Speaker?
The main thing I hope to accomplish is making change on accessibility and affordability of housing and of just tuition as a whole. making ASCSU a place, making CSU and ASCSU a place that all people can feel welcome and at home.
And how are you going to work with the Student Fee Review Board to make sure that student fees are allocated efficiently?
The Senate appoints people to the Student Fee Board, and so it's mostly just making sure that we have good candidates and good people in the Senate to appoint good people to that, so that we have efficient allocation of funding.
And as Speaker, you would be in charge of the legislative branch. How do you plan on being an effective leader to other members of the Senate? What would you do differently compared to past Senates?
The biggest thing is just communication and getting all voices to come to the table. I think that that's an issue that we've had in the past, of not having that involvement aspect of students on campus and not getting that outreach and those opinions on what we should be doing. And so having, I think, heavy outreach and heavy involvement is kind of the best thing that we can do with that.
Well, thank you, Hayden, for your time today.
Thank you.
Taylor and Menanti are both sophomores and have experience working in ASCSU's Senate leadership.
Now we're headed to a short break.
But stick around because the presidential candidates make their stances clear. We'll be right back.
After 2 years?
You gotta be kidding me! Okay, no.
Robbie.
Seriously, do you have anything you can use against the dragon? I can do fireball, that'll do a lot of damage. Yeah, to all of us! Well, we're in a 4-foot group! I'm sorry, what else do you want me to do? Okay.
Hold on. All right. Wizard, what do you do? Wizard? I don't think I'm into this kind of stuff fully. I can't do it. Hey, I think I'm pretty anxious. I'm just.
No, we can pause this.
We can take a break. Let me go get some water.
Yeah, yes, we're good.
Welcome back from the break.
3 campaigns are battling it out for the President VP position in ASCSU.
Presidential candidate Claudia Parizo and VP candidate Eva Ayala met with us in the Statue Garden to tell about their vision for campus.
Good evening. I am Bailey Borkowski, and I am here with one of your pairs of presidential and vice presidential candidates for this upcoming ASCSU election. Ava and Claudia, how are you guys doing?
Doing well. How are you?
Good, thank you. Thank you so much for joining me.
Of course. Thank you for having us.
So, for the first question, just tell me a little bit about yourselves.
So, my name is Claudia Parizo. I am a third-year student here at CSU. I'm studying International Studies and Political Science with a French minor, and I'm currently the Speaker Pro Tempore of Senate.
My name is Eva Ayala. I am a second year here studying zoology with an ASL and Spanish minor, and I am the Speaker of the Senate.
And what is both of your experiences in student government in the past?
So I was in student government in middle school as well as high school, and then now here at CSU, I was able to represent the back office as a senator last year, and I was also the secretary for DEI committee, which was a committee that Ava and I created together.
I've been in student government since high school, and I've loved it ever since. And when I got here, I became a senator for the College of Natural Sciences, and then now I am the Speaker of the Senate.
What is the main pillars of your guys' campaign?
I think a big thing about it is community. When you come to someplace new, you always want to find your little group, you want to settle in. And so I think a big thing is that since students are paying for, all these events and all the different things we have on campus, you might as well share it to them, might as well get it out to them. So building that community in CSU is a big thing.
Basically, we want to be transparent with the communication to students as well as within ASCSU, and we want students to know where their student fees are going, because a lot of people just don't know what they're paying for and how that benefits them, and so we want them to be aware of the resources that can be provided to them through their student fees.
How are you both going to work with the student fee review board to make sure your student funds are allocated equally, as that is one of your main pillars?
Something big when it comes to student fees is that almost all the time is that the different places are going to want a fee increase because of different things. And it really comes down to if they need it. Comes a point where you're taking so much out of students' pockets that who are you paying? Like, it's so hard. And so I think the biggest thing is getting that outreach, getting SFRB known to students, and getting more student body in SFRB.
All right, and last question. As president, you have to hire all of the directors in the cabinet. So do you have any specific plans for any specific cabinet?
Yeah, so one thing that we want to focus on, but also that I'm really pushing for, is to hire student-focused positions in ASCSU for the cabinet, because one thing is ASCSU really wants to benefit the students and want to see what they're interested in. So like positions such as like the director of finance, the director of marketing, and director of like traditions, those are really like big ones that I feel like are really student focused and can benefit the students the most. So also just getting just people who really have a passion for what they want to do. And so I feel like that's probably going to be the biggest thing, is seeing people who are really passionate and really want to help the students in this cabinet.
Oh, that is all the questions I have for both of you tonight. Thank you so much for joining me, and have a great night.
Thank you so much.
Students may recognize a familiar name on this year's ballot. Nicholas DeSalvo is running for re-election as president with a new running mate.
So tell me about yourself.
Yeah, so I chose to run for student body vice president because I see myself as a natural leader, and I've been told that by many of my colleagues, many of my friends, but also those that I've butted heads against as well.
I'm a junior political science major. I'm running for re-election as student body president, and if I win, I'll be the first two-term president in over 3 decades.
What is your past experience in student government?
I've been a part of ASCSU since my freshman year. I joined in the Senate, so in this space right here was my starting ground.
So for the last year, I've served as the student body president for ASCSU, but kind of my start in politics happened when I was 17, and I ran for office in a local election, and I became the youngest person in Colorado history to ever be on a ballot or run for office.
And what are the main pillars of your campaign? What are the main goals of your campaign?
Our campaign is built upon affordability, student experience, and effectiveness. And these pillars were not developed because they sound good for a campaign or even because it's some lofty goal that we want to accomplish, although it is. But it's because President DeSalvo, my running mate, and I have figured out that these work. This is what we have been doing this past year, and this is what we intend to do should we be elected.
Affordability concerns are the #1 things I hear from students, whether that's the cost of living or the cost of tuition. And so affordability is a massive pillar of our campaign going forward.
What is the main thing you want to accomplish if you are to become vice president?
As far as the student experience aspect goes, college is a place where folks should be able to come and discover who they are, discover the world outside of their hometown, learn new cultures, learn new identities, learn new perspectives and ways to see the world. And so we want to apply that student experience to CSU.
What are you wanting to do differently in this year compared to last year?
It's an interesting question because I don't know how much I would do differently. There are a lot of really good, there are a lot of things I've learned this year, and so I think that understanding will help me, especially in the budgeting process.
And how are you going to work with the Student Fee Review Board to make sure that student fees are allocated efficiently?
If we do not have a voice from every aspect of campus dictating what students pay, How is that a democracy? How is that fair? So I will ensure that the Student Fee Review Board looks like the CSU campus and represents the CSU campus.
I think my strategy going forward into ensuring that student fees are allocated properly is getting a board that represents the entire swath of campus. I think once we do that, then we have an understanding of where the student body is, and that's how we go. We go with what the students want.
As president, you have to hire a lot of the directors in the cabinet, all of the directors actually. Do you have any specific plans for any specific departments going forward?
I made the commitment last year that my cabinet would look like CSU and would reflect CSU, and that's something important to me because student government should be representative. And so my cabinet's very diverse. My cabinet's majority women. And so I think those perspectives are essential, and so it's something I will commit to again if I have the honor of being reelected.
Last but not least, Georgia White and Leticia Tapia Madrigal threw their hats in the ring. White and Tapia Madrigal both have experience working in student government in high school.
Hi, my name is Karma Robbins, and I'm here with the ASCSU candidates.
Hi, I'm Georgia White, and I'm running for your student body president.
Hi, I'm Leticia Madrigal, and I'm running for your vice president.
Can each of you tell me a little bit about yourselves?
I'm a third-year psychology and sociology student here at CSU. I am the director of health for ASCSU currently, but my mission in life and in my professional career is to spread love and kindness through authentic connection.
I'm currently a third year studying political science with a legal studies minor in business administration. I also work in ASCSU right now. I serve as the director of diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Going with that, what is your past experience in student government?
I have a background in student government in high school and like my education before coming to college. I was president of our student body.
I think I've also been really involved with student government since high school. I was the president of my class, not the student body. And I think one of the biggest reasonings for why I even got involved into it was because of I was part of Student Voice and Leadership, and we were talking about like the effects of segregation in our schools, and also the effect of like over policing and criminalization of Black and brown youth.
Yeah, definitely. You guys have both like been involved with student government since high school, so it's like something you guys are definitely passionate about. So what are the pillars of your campaign, like the main goals?
Our slogan, our campaign slogan is building bridges, inspiring change. So kind of separating it into two ideas of everything that we want to do under our administration and our vision for CSU either falls under building bridges and collaborating with departments across campus, organizations, nonprofits, local and state policy, things like that, and then inspiring change, creating a community of advocacy among all of our CSU RAMs.
I think for the building bridges, we really want to emphasize that like we really understand the importance of ASCSU as an entity being involved with state and local politics, right? Like the state people are the ones that have all the power for how much it goes into education, what resources go into higher education, how much value there is in higher education, specifically in Colorado. So I think our biggest mission as running mates is to be good student fee stewards, and to make sure that like the money that student fees pay us as ASCSU and the money that is paid into student fees is going back to students.
And with that point of like student fee stewardship and like putting money back into your pocket, we want to treat like the student fees that pay for ASCSU as an investment.
Here's the last question I have for you guys today. As president, you have to hire all the directors in the cabinet. Do you have any specific plans for any specific department?
One of the biggest things that I've thought about with my experience in cabinet is how inclusive or welcoming the space is, and what our internal culture looks like, and how that's conducive to our functionality or success as an organization, and what we produce externally. And I think that one of our largest focuses next year will be on creating a very, very welcoming, inclusive, kind culture, where we can get things done and collaborate and create authentic connection with each other.
As president and vice president, you have so much power as to who you appoint, because who you appoint is gonna everybody has their own agendas, right? We have our own agenda, the cabinet members are gonna have their own agenda, and those agendas have to be like rooted in community. They have to be rooted in empathy for one another. They have to be rooted in like fighting for success. We're not experts.
Yeah.
We know we're not experts on sustainability and making sure that we have a couple more years to live on this earth, right? Especially within our impact. That's not what we're experts on. That's why we delegate and we give the position to someone that has true passion for it.
Well, thank you guys for doing this interview.
Thank you. We appreciate you so much.
You're so cute, by the way.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Candidate profiles are a part of CTV's election coverage and will premiere on YouTube after tonight's show.
CTV Channel 11 does not endorse any candidate or policy within the Associate Students of CSU.
Well, that's enough politics for one night. Make sure to stick around after the break. We have an exclusive inside look at March Madness and how the Rams are holding up.
Living with someone you don't know on the other side of the wall is hard, especially if you don't know how to be a good roommate. The first thing that you'll want to do to be a good roommate is make sure that you always stay quiet. Be considerate of others when using common spaces and appliances.
Hey buddy, what you doing?
I'm just gonna need like 40 minutes. Be respectful of your roommate's privacy. Ugh, my bad. Finally, make sure that you clean up after yourself. Oh, fresh toothbrush.
Have you seen my toothbrush?
Follow these tips to get along with your roommates and your landlord.
What's up, Rams, and welcome back to another edition of CTV Sports. This week has been a roller coaster of emotions, from the shock of Selection Sunday to the first March Madness win from the Rams in over a decade. The Rams took on Virginia just 2 nights ago in Dayton, Ohio, in what many thought was a game the Rams should have avoided, a play-in. However, being placed in this game may have given the Rams some much-needed motivation, as the green and gold came to play, holding the Cavaliers to just 14 total points in the first half. And it was more of the same from there, as the Rams kept the game out of reach for pretty much the entire second half, winning the game in a convincing fashion with a final score of 67-42. This was a total team effort, with the Rams playing almost their entire roster, even getting some bench points from players like Jack Payne. However, the 2 transfers from the Springs were the X factors, with Joel Scott and Nate Clifford both recording double-doubles, while also leading the team in scoring with 23 and 17 respectively. And much to the surprise of Ram fans, Clifford threw 6 dimes to lead the team in assists, a title usually held by Isaiah Stevens. All that matters for the Rams is the win. Now, let's move over to the game that tipped off just a few hours ago. Sports anchor Leah Kokowski is in Charlotte for the tourney. Leah, how's it going?
Thanks, Zoe. I am here outside of the Spectrum Center where CSU men's basketball tipped off just a little while ago against the number 7 seed Texas. And here is everything you need to know going into this matchup. Tuesday was quite the day in Dayton for the Rams, as this was their first NCAA tournament win since 2013 and 5th overall in history. The Green and Gold were able to get nearly every player on the court with the 25 points they had over Virginia. And now they face the fate that almost everyone expected from the start, a dance with Texas. Honestly, this one couldn't be any closer. The Longhorns are favored by just a slim 2.5 points, and the numbers are nearly identical for both of these squads. CSU takes the cake from the field as well as assists, but everything else is almost even. The records are nearly the same as well. Both teams just down the middle in conference and racking up over 20 wins in total. There are 2 players that are an absolute must-watch for tonight as well, being, of course, the Rams' star guard Isaiah Stevens and Texas' Max Abmas. These 2 go way back, as they've known each other for years growing up in Texas and playing each other in the 2022 season. Abmas was at his previous school, Oral Roberts, and the Rams defeated them at Moby Arena to kick off the season. Stevens has him beat in almost every category, while Abmas leads scoring at 17 points per game. This is a must-watch matchup. The Longhorns are 2-0 in the series against the Rams, but the last time they played each other was all the way back in 1952. I have CSU winning this one. A final score of 77-70 is my prediction, but we're going to have to see if that stands, so back to you guys.
Thanks, Leah. Unfortunately, the game did not end how we all were hoping it would. CSU took a first-round loss with 44-56.
That was a rough game to watch. The first half was really rough, only scoring 11 points. It was a hard watch. What do you think? Did you watch the game?
It was a hard one to watch, but unfortunately that is all the time we have tonight. We will see you guys next week.